Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Nintendo Switch 4K development kits that don't exist according to Nintendo. But according to 11 game companies, said their teams were in possession of a Nintendo 4K development kit for the Switch. The companies span across the globe, ranging from large publishers to small, including Zynga. The people of Farmville. You're going to get Farmville in 4K on your Switch in the near future. Can't wait.
Don't forget to come visit my farm.
Yes, visit my
and
farm.
play poker with friends.
With friends. So we know that the latest Switch OLED is coming out here soon. But supposedly these companies have said they have had in their possession and currently have in their possession these 4K development kits from Nintendo for the Switch. And Nintendo says, no, they don't. Come on, Nintendo. This rumor's been going around forever. And now you have companies saying, yeah, we got these. And Nintendo's like, no, you don't. So, which is it? Yeah, they probably do. And Nintendo just doesn't want to say anything because they unlike a lot of other companies, they really hold their cards close to their chest and they don't want to play them until the time is right. And they may never play them at all. So, Nintendo has to keep up with these PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X consoles. They just have to, even though they say they're not in competition with them, they are in a way. So they have to keep up with the times, and the Nintendo Switch is a great console on its own, but it needs an upgrade, right? And the OLED screen is not the upgrade. It needs a more graphic processing, because once developers stop making games for the Xbox One and the PS4 and they start developing just for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, unless they're making a game for the Switch, you're not going to see that. Or you're going to see these iterations that they do on the Switch now, which is like, oh yeah, you can play Dying Light, right? That's coming out, but it's only streamed, right? Or you can play this or that game, but it's only streamed to the Switch because the Switch can't handle these games. And as games get further out with their advancements in technology and graphics and stuff like that, the Switch ain't going to be able to handle any of these. And so they're just going to have these first-party titles and these third-party titles where that game is exclusive to the Switch because they ain't making it for anything else, right? They decided their development costs are going to go towards this Switch game. But yeah, hopefully these rumors are true. It seems like if 11 studios are all coming together, I don't think it's a conspiracy. But saying that this 4K development kit is around there. The only thing is, will Nintendo do anything with it? Will they acknowledge that it does exist? And if it does exist, will they bring it out to fruition, or will they just keep with their OLEDs and just keep updating their screens and their storage space? So we'll see what the guys think. Shane, what do you think of this one, man?
Man, this rumor has been going around longer than the rumor of Lady Gaga having a dick. I mean, this thing has just been going on and on and on. And I don't give a shit. I really don't. I think Nintendo is going to do what Nintendo do. They're going to be the lowest graphical hardware out there, and they're going to make great games for it. But that said, Nintendo shouldn't upgrade the Switch. They should replace the Switch. They shouldn't call this, if this 4K machine is a reality, then I think it should be considered a new piece of hardware that can play, hopefully, the old Switch games. But I don't think another model of Switch really is necessary. You got the original, you got the OLED turd. That's enough. I don't want another Switch model. What I want is a new system. So I don't want just a 4K machine. I want a new system out of this. They can stick to the handheld game. Great. I don't care. But I want them to make a new gaming machine. The Switch has been out, 6 years now, give or take? So I think it's about time.
2017. It's only been out for 4 years.
Really? It seems like it's been forever.
It was 2017 when it came out. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like my PlayStations, I don't pick it up unless it's for the exclusives. So then maybe that's why. And, that's another thing. Do we really need a 4K Switch? Do we need a new 4K system? I think we need a new 4K system from Nintendo, in my opinion. I think the handheld system is perfect for handheld games, but I want one I can just keep at home too. I mean, when we take our trip to Geekway, I'm excited for, by the way, I'm bringing my Switch. Why? Because why not? But I don't care if it's 4K or not. Granted, Nick is absolutely right. They're going to hit a limit on these games until finally they're just going to only make games that are portable games, essentially. So, but that's me. That makes me angry. I don't care if it's 4K, 8K. I want a new system, not a new Switch. Pat, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Switch came out at the same time like Xbox came out with the One X, you know, when they did that mid-year console lifespan jump. So I don't think that Nintendo is necessarily ready for a new next-gen console or next iteration of the console. I mean, I think they're still young enough that they should just be, I think a 4K is needed by them. And the reason I say that is because you kind of touched on it. Developers are going to be like, screw you guys. It takes too much work to develop for you. You know, we're developing this stuff for PlayStation, for Sony and Microsoft, and they're giving us free reign to do this. And your hardware is getting, you know, is being left behind. Nintendo is going to be one of those things where only first-party developers or smaller studios specifically pointing they're designed to build only for Nintendo are going to go for them. There's not going to be, or they're going to be stuck in this loop where we got Skyrim 7 years ago and now it's coming to Switch. Who cares is what I'm trying to say with that. Oh, you're getting Doom 5 years later. Nobody
It'll be the
cares.
remaster machine is what it's going to end up being.
Well, it's not even remastered. They don't remaster them. They just port the dang things over and they're like, here you go, guys. Play with this on your Joy-Con, you know?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
I don't play with my Switch ever undocked. Never. I can never, outside of when I first got it, putting it in my hands going, this is kind of cool. An hour later, this sucks. You're going back in the dock. Here comes my controller and you're on my TV. I mean, I don't play with the thing undocked. Don't. Even when I let my kid play it, she's like, can we put this on the TV? I'm like, yep. Because she's like, I don't want this dang thing, you know, in my hand. Nintendo is trying to create and stay in that niche market. Nintendo has a niche market because it's Nintendo. Everybody loves Nintendo. And we buy their stuff. I own a Switch. The entire group here owns a Switch. You know, some of us own more than one Switch. Looking at Nick. But, you know, I don't think they're ready for another console, but I do think they need to put out like a mid-gen bump, you know, like Microsoft and Sony did. And they need to put out like a Switch Pro or Switch 4K and not this OLED crap. I honestly think they wholeheartedly intended to release a 4K Switch Pro or Switch or whatever they wanted to call it. But I think this whole COVID supply chain crap hit them pretty hard. And they were like, this is going to be a $700 console because of all the crap that's going on and they couldn't get supply chain. So they had to like backpedal. And I honestly think that's what's happening to them is they realized that they couldn't put out in any mass market a 4K console without it being super backlogged and stuff like that, like Nintendo or like Xbox and Sony were. And so I honestly think that they had to backpedal and these developers got development kits. And if they really did, and Nintendo's like, we're not putting out a 4K console or they're not putting out a 4K console for another year and a half, these developers are going to be pissed that they wasted so much time developing on this dev kit for something that Nintendo can't produce. So,
yeah.
And Nintendo is still running the Tegra on their current Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's an old processor. I mean, we're beyond the Tegra. We have a Tegra 2. It's not even running the Tegra 2. It's running a Tegra, right? And we're beyond the Tegra 2 now. So it's like there's better models out there. I mean, the Switch is running off of old hardware. It really is. It was kind of like the days of the Xbox and PS4, you know. They were running off the old AMD hardware that was processors, what was it, Zen 2s or what I can't remember what they were. But the old AMD processors that were just like they were the roadblock. They were the bottleneck in these consoles. And luckily, with these new additions of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, we're running a much better processor in both of these. So, Nintendo's going to have to, at some point, and in some point soon, they're going to have to jump ship and say, we got a new model out, that not an OLED model, but a high-end model, because they're going to get left in the dust by all these. I mean, yeah, exactly what we've all said. Once these developers start producing games for just Xbox and just PlayStation 5, you can only port a game so many times to an old system. I mean, yeah, it's like, and everyone's so excited. Oh yeah, the Switch is finally getting Skyrim. We're finally getting Doom, the first one, right? The 2016 one. It's like, who gives a crap?
1998 one.
I've already played that game. Like,
all the people who are going to play that.
That's the only thing I don't understand about Switch owners and like these people on the internet too. They get so excited for a port of a game that's older than crap coming to. I'm like, I don't give a crap. Maybe like I like my Switch, but if Skyrim or Doom 2016 or Wolfenstein, the first one's coming to it, who cares, right? Oh, I can play it portably. Well, whoop-de-freaking do. Who gives a shit? Seriously. I mean, are you that portable? I mean, I'm not. Maybe I don't live in the right town, but I ain't that fucking portable.
Yeah, but right. My main argument with yours, Pat, about the mid-gen refresh is the fact that they started off underpowered to begin with. They started off with old ass shit to begin with. I mean, they were damn near a generation back when they started their generation. That's the reason I think they should just freaking get a new system out. I mean, Nintendo has proven that they can make a solid system, and this Switch is fantastic. Besides the, shit drift controls happening, it's a solid system. It really is. I mean, their first party games are top notch. I mean,
but they're few and far between.
Exactly. And I imagine the Switch is hard to make a game like Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is a gorgeous game. And, they have some amazing games on there, but they do not have enough. And I imagine it's due to the fact that they are using, my cell phone has freaking better hardware in it. I mean, it seems like it's ridiculous. Nintendo, I understand they do what Nintendo do, which is whatever the hell they want, and it works for them great, no problem.
But it's not working for them anymore. They're losing market. They're slipping in the market
off. Yeah. Exactly. And I don't think a next gen refresh, a mid gen refresh, is really going to cut it. I honestly feel they need to make this mid refresh or whatever. I think they need to make it a new system. Really go for it. Make it Switch 2 or call it the bitch out. I don't care. Make it new. Make it a new console with new freaking controls. That's for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I think COVID and all this stuff is playing. I honestly think Nintendo is afraid to tell everybody that, yes, we had this design, but we can't fulfill it because we can't get the hardware. And I honestly think that's what they probably need to say more than just being, we never planned for this. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Instead of these, because Bloomberg's the one I think that broke this article. And Bloomberg had said in the article that they had 11 confirmed companies that have these 4K dev kits. So all 11 of these companies are just lying that they did that. Nintendo has in the past done stuff like this. Does anybody remember the old Nintendo Sleep Dream thing or whatever? They showed off and they were saying it's going to have this and that and development for it, but they shelved it. Nintendo does stuff like this. If they can't, I would be, if I was a developer, I'd be livid with Nintendo if they were like, we're going to put out a 4K console January 1, 2021, and then nothing ever happens. Like, dude, I got 5 games in the pipeline for this that require that 4K chipset or that 4K development, that the functions of that 4K dev kit. What is Nintendo going to do? I mean, I don't know how all this stuff works in the background. Can they sue Nintendo? If Nintendo gives them a dev kit and says we're releasing on X date, and it's 2 years later and they still haven't released, and this company has spent 3 years developing a game on this dev kit, what does that say for Nintendo? Or maybe these developers are just like, we're never working with Nintendo again because they can't put out what they promised. or they're shady. And by shady, I don't mean they're doing bad practice. They just hide things from their consumers and stuff.
I think if that's the case, and let's say developer A has got this game and it's ready. I mean, they're ready to go. I think if Nintendo doesn't try to appease them in some way, they might as well just say, screw you guys, I'll release it on the Nokia. I mean, it's really about it. I mean, they cannot, it's basically taking money from them. The longer they wait, the less money they have. They've spent money on development, they've spent money on their employees and all that other crap. That's BS. Nintendo needs to do something if it is true. Now, whether it is or not, I don't know, but I can tell you this: if Nintendo has been lying about it, that's pretty shitty.
I wish. So for my last thing here, I wish Nintendo, and I agree, Shane, I wish Nintendo would go back to their two system thing where they had their handheld and they had their main home console. That's what I wish they would go back to. Because you had great games on that handheld that were made for the handheld, but you had this high-end powered home console that you could have at home that had totally different games, right? So if you like the handheld stuff, you could own both, in which most cases I did, and I would buy games for the handheld, buy games for the console, right? And they were just two totally different ecosystems. I mean, Nintendo's trying to infuse those ecosystems into one. And I agree. I don't think it's really working for them. I wish they'd go back to just a home console idea and then have that handheld branch outside of it. That's the way I wish they would go. Who knows where they'll go in the future if they'll stick with this Switch thing. It's done pretty well for them, and they've sold a lot of systems. So I think they'll probably stick with it, but I wish they would go go back to their two different directions with the handheld and the home console. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with these 4K kits. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add to this, or anything else to say?
No, just say it's so or say it ain't so. Just freaking say something.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Chris Pratt's probably pretty pissed off right now, so we'll have to see what he has to say as the the face of Mario. But thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notifications to keep update new videos that we put out all the time. And thanks everybody for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.